Our goal with this course was to create a living, breathing experience, create an online space where the learning happens and the community of learners is present.
Now, by the end of the unit, we want you to become a data storyteller. That requires statistical thinking and computational skills.
Example 1, we're coming back to a mineral that we're familiar with now, kyanite, and we're looking at how this forms in our Earth.
The structure of each week has 5 parts. It begins with imagine, and then the students move through discover, challenge, explore, before evaluate. And the students love this structure because it brings great clarity. They know what's expected each week.
So there's lots of different statistics we might calculate when we're trying to understand the real estate market, but the most common that we'll calculate is the median price.
Each week begins with imagine. And in Data 1001, this is an expert data story. That is, a researcher across the university shares how data is bringing insights in their field.
Looking at oysters and how the stresses of climate change affect them over generations.
The Imagines were designed to introduce each topic in a way that really captured the students' imagination, that they could be introduced to it in a real-world context that was easy for them to understand.
So to give a tangible feel of what was going on, what is going on in the Faculty of Science, is to have videos with interviews with scientists talking about their work, how they approach it, and what difference it made.
The 21st century has been called the century of biology by the OECD.
The videos we created were scientists discussing their own research and the relevance of their research for today's big questions, be it COVID, climate change, ecosystem collapse.
Crown of thorns starfish are a really monstrous starfish. They're covered in an array of spines.
The goal of the Imagines was to give students a taste of how they could apply their knowledge to explain human phenomena, including disease, and think about the kinds of solutions that we could come up with in the future in treating those diseases.
One of the impacts of COVID is that we had a huge community of learners learning from overseas. And we all know that to learn effectively, having a community around you is very helpful, but it's hard for people to connect. So one of the great things in this unit was that by having a rich online discussion, it was possible for a new first-year student in Singapore to connect with a third-year engineering student in Sydney, and for them to help each other and share their knowledge, not just about this unit, but also about the university experience in general.
An object such as this, that we will heat up to a particular temperature.
This is a diagram of the setup that you'll be using.
We've always found that online discussion boards are incredibly vital in the online space. But now combining that with a really clear weekly structure is even better. So what we do is our online discussion board is framed around that weekly structure, and that it helps students to then engage with each element of the learning.
Had students engaging more than we'd seen them engage before, and go online and answer each other's questions as well. So it really built this online community where they had, their peers to turn to answer questions and not just us as the lecturers. Answer to this is that minerals are naturally occurring crystalline solids.
You actually require microbe exposure to be normal.
In a way, I feel like with this online format of the unit, that they could see the face of the lecturers in the pre-recorded videos. It wasn't just a screencast and a voice of a lecturer speaking to them. They could see who they were, and then they could actually meet them in the lectorials. So in a way, like, they had a bit more time interacting with the lecturers, which is probably more than what they would get in an on-campus environment.
Aldosterone acts in the distal convoluted tubule and the collecting duct.
As a university, we're entering into a new era of what it means to be a place of learning. Historically, universities have been geographical locations that people come to learn. And what we're showing is that a university can be more than that. It can operate across the world.
In the society we live, online is not some kind of separate place to the real world. For this generation, online is the real world. And so it makes sense for university learning to be that same experience. Some of it is online, some of it is real world. Sometimes one makes more sense than the other. That's the world we live in. That's the world education should exist in.
Great, well thank you so much, and we'll see you throughout the semester.